You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 190.2, our girls basketball state finals preview with Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader sports editor Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, basketball fans, to our girls basketball state finals preview. Today is February 28th, 2025. It's a Friday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana sports. Coming to you today from Stage 22 in beautiful Elwood, Indiana. I'm here with Michelle Garmon, the sports editor of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader, and of course, producer Susie is in the control room at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Coming up, we're going to talk about all four girls basketball state championship games, starting with the first one that's going to be played, Class A, moving up. But before we do that, just want to say, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report. We are easy to find. We're doing lots of cool stuff there. Please go subscribe. We also have lots of stuff that we've just released. Lots of stuff coming up. Go check it out. All right. Welcome, Michelle. It is girls basketball state championship week, and we don't have any teams.
No, we don't. I just say, and Jane Schott, former Jane Calhoun, a 1987 Tipton graduate, a 1,000 point scored, 1,000 rebounds grabbed at Tipton, 1987 All-Star. Coach has been a head coach at Lafayette Harrison, and then most recently for many years was West Lafayette. And the only reason she's no longer West Lafayette's coach is because the IHSA snagged her last summer to fill a vacancy as an assistant commissioner. And Jane was in charge of soccer and girls basketball. And what they've done this year is it's 50-year anniversary since the IHSA made basketball one of their sanctioned sports. And Jane has done a wonderful, wonderful job of setting up interviews of former Miss Basketballs, former players that played in state championships, all-star. It's been fantastic. I know Jane's had a lot of fun doing it. For people that don't know this, Jane has also done television. She's done color for many of the state finals games, usually in fact, unfortunately, she won't be able to do that this year, but she would seem to do she would just do it like 4A, 3 in the 4A games, sometimes the 1 and the 2A. She has done color for Indiana Fever games, and I actually did a story on Jane one year because she was going to be doing the game on TV, and Tri-Central was playing in the state. So I did a page 1 feature story for us that Elwood also, I believe, picked up. And the Indiana Fever picked it up. They asked me, and so it was on their website for a lot of time. But Jane is really good. She's really good in the media stuff. And Greg, I promise we are going to get her on here at some point after this season so she can talk about this and what I'm sure, because it being 50 years and getting to go and do all that. I know when I talked to her at the wrestling state tournament, when I saw her, she was enjoying herself, and she's fantastic at that. She's very well spoken. She's great media. So it's been fantastic. I haven't been able to listen to all of them. I've picked them, but I know that I can go back and find them, and I will at some point. I want to listen to them when I'm not trying to do something else. Here, as the sports wind down and I have some what I call kill time, then I'm going to go back and watch some of these episodes. But it's fantastic. I just think it's neat to see this. And like I said, I think the IHSA knocked it out of the ballpark when they brought Jane on board and then put her in charge of this.
All right, and it'll be her first state finals this weekend, and it starts at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday between Lafayette Central Catholic, which is 25-4 and ranked 6th in the state, against number 2 Borden, which is 22-5 and ranked 2nd.
Real quick, for those of you that may not realize it, Lafayette Central Catholic is part of the Hoosier Conference.
That's right.
Hoosier Conference has 2 teams down there this year. It's fantastic. And if you would go back and you look at the Hoosier Conference, they've been well represented in the girls' state tournament for a long time, because you would have Northwestern won titles, and you had Benton Central getting down there, and Tipton made it down there 1 year, and Central Catholic has been there several years. So it's a great thing for the Hoosier Conference to not just have Central Catholic, who has been there several times, but to also get Rensselaer there.
And the Knights have won 13 games in a row. Their last loss was January 4th. They, of course, are led by Carly Bennett and Grace Bourdonnais, two really good players who both basically the focus of their team. They beat North Vermilion 72-32 in the first round, Riverton Park 61-21, and then Fountain Central 53-30 in the sectional championship. It was their 18th sectional championship in program history, all in the last 20 years, and their fourth straight sectional championship. Then they beat Monroe Central 55-37 in the regional, their seventh regional championship, and their second in the last 3 years. And in the semi-state, they beat Elkhart Central 47-36. And then the big one, taking down number one Marquette Catholic 53-50 in overtime. Of course, Marquette Catholic beat Central Catholic last year on their way to the state championship game. The Central Catholic, it was their fourth semi-state championship and their first since 2022. And they have won 3 state championships, 2006, 2015, and 2016. And as you mentioned, Lawrence North is closer to us, but as far as regional, because they're in the Hoosier Conference, they're probably the team that we would be most interested in this finals as far as the Central Indiana Sports Report perspective. Borden's last loss was also January 4th, Michelle. They have won. They are 22-5 overall, and they beat West Washington 55-34, Henryville 38-21, then beat Christian Academy 61-31 in the sectional championship. Their 13th sectional championship. Nice program going back, but their first since 2015. Then a big win. They beat Reveille 41-35 in the regional for their first ever regional championship. Then they beat South Decatur 64-26. Then beat number 11 Northeast Du Bois 65-41. Very impressive for their first ever semi-state championship. Michelle, this is going to be a good one. I think Central Catholic will be a slight favorite going into this. I'll take Central Catholic by 4. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I think Central Catholic will win. I saw on X the other day. I'll get it. I won't call it Twitter. I'll call it X. I still like Twitter.
I call it Twitter.
Yeah, I call it either one. But where Mrs. Thompson, all of her daughters all their kids, because I think they have a boy, have all played and now all been played in a state championship game, and that's something neat to have a family like that. It's kind of like I think the oh gosh, I can't think. Jackson, Anthrop. The Anthrops on the boys' side, they've all, right. I think, all played either baseball, football, or basketball in a state championship game. I think Central Catholic will win. Until you got Lanesville, I think traditionally through the years, the North has been slightly better than the South in Class A basketball.
Right.
I'm taking Central Catholic again by 4-6. They just, those kids are you. I mean, it's again, Central Catholic is one of those schools where they're they're private, but their expectation is to be exactly where they're at this year, and that seems to be their expectations every year, if not maybe the state, to at least make it to the to the semi-state. I mean, that's just what they expect.
By the way, Borden beat Lanesville in overtime to win the Southern Athletic Conference Championship. Borden is coached by Matt Vick, who led the boys basketball team to a state championship in 2005. He's a 2006 graduate. But again, Michelle, this is a program that hasn't been here, but has been pretty good through the years. In fact, there was 1 year, I think they lost to the state champion to Lanesville, and it was a close game. So this is a team that's been on the doorstep, but we both like Central Catholic in this one.
We do. And, someone to watch out for, because I've seen it affect some teams. It's different when you go into Bankers Life. No, Gamebridge. Sorry, it's changed so
Doesn't
many
matter. ways.
Doesn't
the
matter.
Field House is what we say.
Yeah, when you go into the field house and you shoot, because it's so big, and they're and in that level, at that level, I've seen teams really struggle to sometimes to knock down shots, and even teams that are pretty good at knocking down shots. It's just different. But yeah, congratulations to Borden to getting there, and if they win it, I'll be thrilled for them. If Central Catholic wins, I'll be thrilled for those players, because having gone down there with Tipton in 2021, it's just magic. I just hate it for the Tipton run that it was all those COVID that season was all those COVID restrictions, because I know they didn't get everything out of it that
you normally would have.
Yeah.
All right, the Class 2A game is at 12:45 on Saturday, and it's number 1 South Knox, was just 27-2, against number 2 Rensselaer Central, which is 26-2. Rensselaer Central has won 8 straight games in 20 of their last 22. Excellent season for Rensselaer Central. They are led by junior Camry Rowland, who averages 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals a game. Senior Taylor Van Meter, 13 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 4 assists, 2.7 steals. And sophomore Courtney Matthew averages 12 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.8 steals. That's a lot of steals, Michelle.
Yes, it is.
Of course, Rensselaer Central is the second leading scoring team in the state. They beat Seeger 61-32 in the first round. Benton Central, as you mentioned, one of the best programs in girls basketball history, 47-33. And then North Montgomery 67-26 in the sectional championship. Their 6th sectional title overall, their first since 2013. Then, of course, in the regional, they outlasted number 3 Alexandria 57-49 for their first ever regional championship. Then they beat number 11 Sheridan 61-36, a game that was close most of the way, and then they blew it out in the second half. And then they beat number 5 Eastside 55-32, very impressive, for their first ever semi-state championship. South Knox is 27-2. Their only 2 losses, Michelle, were to number 1 Hamilton Southeastern and number 4 Homestead. And I'm talking about 4A number 1 and 4A number 4. They've won 13 games in a row. They are led by senior Ella Bobby, who averages 19 points a game, and a couple of girls named Hill, Bryn, and Kendall. And that is a program that's always been in the shadow of North Knox, Michelle, but not anymore. They are leading the state in scoring at 72.5 points per game. They beat Sullivan 72-33. Then number 8 North Knox, like I said, the team they've been in the shadow of for all these years, 58-52 to win the sectional championship. It's the 7th sectional championship for South Knox, but their first since 2019. Then they beat Lanesville 67-56 in the regional. Lanesville, the 3-time maybe, reigning Class A state champion, for their first ever regional championship. Then they beat Park Heritage 77-40 and Heritage Christian 58-40 to make it to state for the first time ever. Michelle, I say that great run by Rensselaer Central. South Knox is going to win this game by double digits. I'll say 15.
I don't know if it'll be double digits. I think South Knox will win. I'm still debating on whether or not I'm going to send off an email to Jason Willey tomorrow and ask for credentials to go down there for the state finals. I think it'd be good. Otherwise, or cough up money to stream the games, mainly because I want to see the Bobby girl play. I've read some really good things about her, but I'll be voting for my Indiana, my people I think deserve Indiana All-Stars, and so I want to see Bobby. I don't like to, if I can have an opportunity to see some, players, especially, I say this because especially at the 1 and 2A level, because no matter what, Greg, you've been around, you've done this as long as I have, we know it is different. 1 and 2A level is different. Not all the 1 and 2A players are so great. could be playing on some 3A and definitely most 4A schools. It's just unfortunate. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
and
of course.
So I don't want to vote. I'm not going to vote just on stats because stats can be different because the level of competition they're playing is different. But you can tell by, I like to watch footwork. I like to watch how do they play defense? Do they box out? Could they play? Could they, and that's what I like to see. And so I'd like to see this Bobby girl play. I do think South Knox will win. So Rensselaer Central, another.
We've been picking against them for a long time, though.
I know. Another Hoosier Conference team. So if they win, I'll be thrilled for them. I know I've got some friends up that way that mainly through
great area.
Yeah, their former girls basketball coach Jeff Marlowe is a really neat guy. He's from up there, and he's a big IU guy too. IU fan, and so I know Jeff and I know the football staff, and I have in the past, and great relationship. So if it would be great for them if they win. I just think South Knox right now, and if Bobby's what they say she is, then
I'm not sure they wouldn't win the 3A game.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the 3A state championship is at 6:00. It is number 9 Norwell versus number 1 Greensburg. Norwell's 22-6. Greensburg, the only unbeaten team in Indiana, at 27-0. The game, like I said, is at 6 p.m. Norwell, as when we did our sectional preview, I believe I said was the best team in the North, and that proved out to be right, even though they're ranked 9th. That schedule they play is so tough. They started their sectional run against Marion with an 81-28 win. Then they beat Mississinawa 64-16. Then they faced a number 6 Belmont team that had beaten them less than a month ago, and they beat Belmont 57-39 to avenge one of their 6 losses. It was their 18th sectional championship, their 3rd straight, and their 5th in the last 6 years. Then they beat East Noble easily 72-48 in the regional for their 6th regional championship back-to-back and their 4th since 2014. Then the semi-state beat Delta 74-44 and then beat Columbia City, the top-ranked team in the northern part of the state, 61-53 to get back to the state championship after they were there last year. Of course, Norwell is led by junior Vanessa Rossworm, who's averaging 23 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. They, like I said, were in the state championship game last year and lost to Gibson Southern. They lost 63-60 in that one. And Grant Schaus and Kevin Helfrich of the Action Sports Network will be there to call that one. So if you want to listen to the Knights, they will have that call. Greensburg, like I said, only unbeaten team in the state and came through a semi-state that had all the top teams in it, so very impressive. They are led by sophomore Claire Larison, 16.2 points, 7.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.5 steals. Senior Miley Wilkinson averages 16 points, senior Leah West, 15.4 points, and junior Allie Powers, 10.4 points, 3.8 assists, 3.6 rebounds, and 2.1 steals. They had no problem getting through their sectional, beating Lawrenceburg 55-39, South Dearborn 62-24, and last year's reigning regional champion Jennings County 60-50. It was their 8th sectional championship in program history. First time ever going back-to-back. They've won 6 in the last 11 years. Then in the regional, they took down number 3 Washington 50-43 for their 2nd regional championship ever. The last one was 2018. Then they beat number 4 Evansville Central 83-71 and Ron Colley 71-58 in the semi-state championship, their 2nd ever semi-state championship to 2018. And I think I forgot to mention Norwell is the only team of the 8 returning this year, Michelle.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to jump back to 2A for a minute, Greg, just because I want to say this. I know why I know South Knox will win that. They beat Heritage Christian to get there. I think I told you Heritage Christian don't go by their record because of their tradition. And to beat them like they did, South Knox, you're right. They could contend at 3A. That's a really good team. Now, for 3A, Norwell is a great story because they graduated several players or some really key pieces.
It took them a while to get going
from last year. It took them a while.
But Rossworm is so good.
just today I saw where they have a player that almost gave up basketball.
I saw that.
Did you see that? And went another year, and then their coach is like, she fills all the roles of what they lost. Norwell is a perfect example of when you have a program in place. And when I say a program, I'm not just talking varsity. They must have a great program, feeder program up to their the middle school level, the 7th, 8th grade, and then into their high school. Because if you have program, that's the only way. A lot of times, because they're not a great big 3A, you know what I'm saying? As far as they're not in a big city to where you draw in a lot of maybe athletes. So I think that's for schools like that, kind of rural schools. The only way you have success year after year and can reload, not rebuild, reload every year, is if you have a really good program in place to where your kids are learning and come into high school already knowing the expectations and with a really solid fundamental base.
Shout out to Northern Wells County. Of course, that's what Norwell is. Northern Wells County. All right. The class. Oh, I forgot to mention who I picked.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take a bit of an upset. I think Norwell gets the job done. I'll take Norwell by a point.
In Greensboro, man, what a story if they were the undefeated champions. I just think too that North, since they were there last year, and they may have graduated some pieces, but what they did have back, that feeling, and I'm sure the players that are contributing this year were there, if not anything, watching or maybe even on the bench, because you can get your JV kids sitting down in that area. I'll take Norwell.
Vanessa Rossworm is the go-to player and will be the difference, I believe.
Yeah, and again, I will take Norwell. I was actually kind of shocked slightly shocked when Gibson Southern beat them last year, only because of by them beating Heights and doing what they did.
Right.
So
they looked invincible, and then they were vinced.
Yes, but I agree with you, Greg. I think Norwell will. Well, I think it'll be close. It might be. This one might be one. The 3 and 4A games might be outstanding games. 1 and 2A probably have potentials to be blowouts. Yeah. But I think the 3 and and maybe they will. So now watch. It'll be the 1 and 2 that'll be the nail biters, and 3 and 4 will be the blowouts. So
it's just so hard to tell when they're from two different parts of the state.
Yeah.
It came from two different complete paths. It's really hard to tell. And in the big one, the Class 4A game at 8:15, again at the Fieldhouse, it's number 1 Hamilton Southeastern versus number 2 Lawrence.
Oh, no. I told you.
Not.
I basically, I said Southeastern, but I basically said, because I was so close to saying no Warsaw, Team of Destiny, Greg. Team of Destiny.
It's actually number 5 Warsaw, which is 26-1 against unranked Lawrence North, by the way. We said it even after the sectional, or after the draw, that it was ridiculous that they weren't ranked at 18-8.
Yes.
Because that's a good 8-win team. Of course, Warsaw upset number 1 Hamilton Southeastern. Lawrence North upset number 2 Lawrence Central to get here. Let's see, Warsaw, their only loss of the season was at Homestead on January 21st. They're led by junior Jocelyn Bricker, who averages 19 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 2.6 steals. Junior Brooke Zartman, who averages 18 points a game. And senior Brooke Winchester averages 12.7 points, 10 rebounds. And junior Alexis Neely averages 9.6 points and 4.5 rebounds. That's 4 players with averaging about 10 points, Michelle. They beat Elkhart 67-36 in the first round and Northridge 71-54 to win the sectional championship. They're 18th overall, but the first since 2015. Then they beat South Bend Washington in a big one, 53-43, to win their 8th regional championship. Again, their first since 2013. And then in the semifinals, beat McCutcheon as expected, 66-48, and then took out unbeaten and top-ranked Hamilton Southeastern, 67-61 in the semi-state championship. 50 years, as you said, from the time they won their last state championship, the first one ever competed in Indiana. It was the 5th semi-state championship for the Tigers, but their first since 2014. Of course, they won the 76 and 78 championships. in legendary fashion. Lawrence North has won 9 games in a row. They're led by junior Kadria Butler, who's averaging 13.7 points and 4.7 rebounds. Senior Kaya Hurt, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. And senior Jemiah Thomas is averaging 12.3 points and 5 rebounds. They beat Tech 89-12 in the sectional semifinal. Then the big one, beat number 2 and defending state champion Lawrence Central, crosstown rival, 47-42. It was their 14th sectional championship, second in the last 3 years, third in the last 6 years. Then they beat Pendleton Heights in a really good game, 60-54. In fact, all their games have been close. Their first regional championship since 2014. All of their regional championships have come since 2014. Then they beat reigning 3A state champion Gibson Southern 69-46. And then, as I predicted, the semi-state championship might have been the 2 best teams, the 2 hottest teams at least, in Indiana. Lawrence North beat Pike 45-44.
And who took Lawrence North?
I took Pike, and I'm not ashamed of that.
No, you shouldn't be.
I had started to spot that their results started to look different late in the season. And that was a big win for Lawrence North.
And my big thing for Lawrence North was because getting past the hump of Lawrence Central was big. Now, and of course, you want to go ahead and make your prediction because
sure,
I was getting ready.
I think you're right. Team of Destiny. I'll take Warsaw by 3.
Yeah, I think I've kind of said this from the get-go. It's kind of neat to see Warsaw have such a great team because the IHSA is celebrating 50 years. G. Warren led the first Miss Basketball and led all that. It is, and there's just something unique and special. And
they've beaten 3 top 10 teams,
yes, and it's a great story. I mean, if I was up there, it'd be fun. You could be doing different kinds of features, whether you go back in time and interview some of the players from 50 years ago, and then this and everything. I think it's a team of destiny. The fashion, the way that Warsaw beat Southeastern, that was like Southeastern won the first and the third quarters. Warsaw really played well and kind of dominated the second and fourth quarters and got the close win.
Made all the big plays in the end.
Yes, and Bricker was just fantastic. And I think Warsaw's a team of destiny. I'm going to agree with you. I think Warsaw will win. I said 3A may be the best game, but technically, I should say probably talent-wise, player-wise, everything, this game should be a great, thrilling cap-off to this year's Indiana State Finals.
Warsaw was number 2 in the state in average margin of victory, beating their opponents by 33.33 points per game. Alexandria was 3rd. All right, Michelle, it's going to be a good one. I can't wait. Kind of wish we'd had a local team in it, but either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been, since maybe 1983, loving every year that there's been a girls' state finals.
Well, let me
this
tell
year
you,
is no exception.
We had Frankton in 2020, Tipton in 2021, Frankton in 2022, and LaPel in 2023. That was a pretty good run.
That was a pretty good run, and it would have been really nice to see Alexandria there. We really thought they had a chance. And if they had found a way to beat Rensselaer Central, that would probably be them there right now.
Yes.
Or Sheridan. Sheridan had a really nice season as well. Real fast, let's talk about we haven't talked about it since it happened. Really, we're there with Rensselaer Central. I think they were down a point at halftime, and it just got away from them.
And I know, well, it did. And I know that this is a stat that you don't always like to hear about, but I believe that Rensselaer shot about 25 more free throws than Sheridan in the second half. I mean, the disparity when you look, because I looked at it, and not because I wasn't expecting that. I just wanted to see what area, when I looked at the box score, what area
exactly
was the difference in the game, and it was free throws because it was huge. And then I looked by halves, and it was really huge in the second half. And they give Rensselaer credit because they made their free throws. They were given an advantage. They shouldn't say that. They got an advantage at the line. They made the most of it. I didn't see that game. I would like to see that game just so I can kind of see not infallible. I know officiating is tough, and I can say that, folks, because I've done it.
It is tough.
It is tough. what I hate is, and this is kind of sometimes what you get into when you get to this level, you get crews that don't work together. So maybe you get somebody that calls things a certain way and somebody a different way. And people would be surprised, but if you have a certain official under the basket and more in your thing, and you get some of those fouls can be, and it can create that disparity. Not saying it's necessarily bad officiating. Sometimes it's just inconsistent. You have, whereas if you bring in officials, the crews, because almost all year long, most guys work. If it's not the same 3-man crew, then it's the they're part of a
Right.
5-6 man that they were used to working. And you get to this level, and that's not necessarily what you have, and so it can make a difference. And so I personally would like to see. I've said this for years. I know that HSA keeps talking about, well, we need officials, trying to get young officials in there, and yes, parents. Some of the way that the comments, and that is part of the reason officials are getting out. But another part is I've talked to them. There are young officials that can't get beyond a sectional or regional, and they're good because they don't have all the years in. Folks, officiating, getting to state final, each level you go should be merit-based, not longevity-based.
All right. Well, great season for Sheridan. Great season for Alexandria. Great season for Delta. We're not going to name an official coach of the year this year. We're going to wait till next year to do all that stuff, I think, although we might do it at the end of the year in June or something. But Tyronda Benning from Delta, what an amazing job that she did getting that program that just 2 years ago was, I don't want to say laughing stock, isn't quite the right word, but the basement of their conference year after year, and to get to a semi-state. What an amazing job in her second season at Delta.
We're blessed with some really good coaches that have done some really good jobs.
Courtney Licklider.
Nice and even Jalen Delph. I mean, I know Sheridan was there last year, but you guys have to see realize where kind of Sheridan was. I mean, they were losing to a 500 team for a lot of things, and Jalen's come in and she's done that. And I'm anxious to see. I mean, she's going to lose some key seniors. It'll be interesting. I don't think they'll drop off a whole lot next year, because I think she's doing a really nice job there, and in building the program, and super jobs. Courtney Licklider. I'm trying to think.
Marion went from 3 wins to 10 wins.
Yes,
there's a lot of good, really good
hey,
stories.
How about Haley Peckinpah? At Kokomo, she's kind of getting Kokomo.
It's been a couple years now, but yeah.
Yes, I mean, but even then, I mean, I think this is her 3rd year, and they've gotten better each year.
And they're going to be better next year too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It's been a lot of fun talking girls basketball this year, and look forward to kind of talking some softball and baseball as we head toward the spring.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I know. That's going to be exciting.
Thanks once again to Michelle Garmon for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. She is the best. We also have gratitude for you for listening. If you're interested in seeing the Central Indiana Sports Report grow, please tell a friend about it. Just copy and paste this podcast and send it to your friends and family, the ones who you think will enjoy it. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.